Today we're going to be talking about Public Art Abu Dhabi Biennale.
It is an absolutely enormous public art initiative that has been launched by Abu Dhabi's Department for Culture and Tourism.
I think people can sometimes overlook Abu Dhabi's architecture because it's of that 70s, 80s era. But the bus station...
But I love that.
I love it too. I'm really excited about it being brought into a new era of its life. We're celebrating Fairouz. She turned 90 last week.
Yeah.
She is the cedar of Lebanon. And what an accolade to hold.
She's also pretty famous for kind of singing and speaking about the Palestinian cause. There have been a good crop of new songs released in solidarity with Palestine, and one in particular that we want to talk about this week.
She is a Jordanian-Palestinian artist called Zain, and she's released a music video which is Harrar Aqlak.
And it's gone viral.
Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about Public Art Abu Dhabi Biennale,
Fairouz's 90th birthday, and songs promoting Palestinian solidarity.
This is Culture Bites coming to you from the National News. I'm Enas Refaei.
And I'm Farah Andrews.
And we're here without Man.
He's not very well.
He's not very well. So he sends his love.
He's a man at home.
He's a man. He's a sick man.
He's a sick man.
He's a sick man. We're going to kick off today. I think we've got so much jam-packed stuff to talk about that I'm really excited.
Yeah, an awful lot launched last week for art here in Abu Dhabi.
Season.
'Tis indeed. And the Public Art Abu Dhabi Biennale, or Biennial, however we're saying that word. I say Biennale.
I say Biennale, but is that because of Venice?
I was about to say, I think it's because of Venice.
So maybe we can say biannual?
Sure.
Does that mean it happens every other year?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
See?
It's confusing though in English because biannual, bi-monthly, bi-weekly can either mean every second week or twice a week. But I do not believe this is happening twice this year.
No. And
it is now November.
A big event.
It is huge. It is an absolutely enormous public art initiative that has been launched by Abu Dhabi's Department for Culture and Tourism. And so what we're kind of talking about is very large-scale art pieces that have been kind of scattered around Abu Dhabi. So have you seen any of the pieces?
I have only seen them so far in magazines, and I have not, and in our newspaper.
I was going to say, not only magazines, one does hope.
And in our newspaper, because they're in Abu Dhabi. I think they're in Al Ain as well, is that right?
Yeah, so they're kind of scattered all around, and I think part of the initiative behind it, which is so nice, is to kind of promote the walkability and the accessibility and space around the Emirate. So it's very much an acknowledgement that this isn't like going to a museum. You aren't going to see all of these pieces in one day, but for people living here in Abu Dhabi and people here who are visitors and here as tourists, they can kind of take in these pieces when they stumble upon them. But there are definitely some I think people should make a bit of a beeline for.
Go on. What is your take?
So my personal favorite is a piece called Homesickness by Farah al-Qasimi, which is it appealed to me because it's 5 large oysters, silver, with a big pearl in each of them. Oh. And they're fitted with speakers. I'm going to need you to help me. They play Tob Ya Bahar. Do you know what that means?
Well done. Tob, I think would mean like a kind of I'm looking at our producers, like a kind of like a drum beat.
So of the sea.
Of the sea.
Am I learning Arabic?
I think you're learning Arabic, babe.
Which is a traditional chant once sung by the wives of pearl divers. So it really does speak to this region and its history, and it's like the connection to pearl diving.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think there's something that, the pearl diving industry here was so important, and it still is really important. So it's nice that it's being acknowledged in such a dramatic way. I'd say 5 large oysters. Shame you can't eat them.
Yeah, you know me. I would try. And so you can kind of another piece that is pretty impressive is Tentarium. Is that what we're Is that how we think we're pronouncing that? By Powal Al-Tamer. Which is a sprawling homage to the cats of Abu Dhabi, which is so cute.
That's really adorable.
We know that there's a lot of people that we work with that really do care about the cats of Abu Dhabi.
Yes.
And so this piece is displayed on Lake Park, and a tent is shaped like a cat. So they are very accessible art pieces that people can go and kind of like walk up to and really enjoy, which I love.
I like that. I've met some people who've recently moved to the Emirates, and they're kind of shocked actually at how people leave out food for the cats and how it's like a thing here. And I was trying to explain that, like, you know, it's just part of the culture. I think even in Jordan, like, people would just leave out food for the cats. They keep away the mice.
Do you know who really likes it?
Frida.
My dog, who does love stumbling upon a little pile of cat food on our walks. And then I say, no, madame, you have food at home. Leave this for the cats that need it. Something that I'm really excited about, which is not open yet, but is the Abu Dhabi bus terminal.
I was hoping you were going to mention this. Yeah. So I'm a massive fan of like brutalist, modernist architecture. Yeah. So I remember when I first came here to Abu Dhabi was when they first started, like almost in an Abu Dhabi way, which is very different to Dubai, started listing properties here. So big buildings have now been listed by the kind of like cultural, architectural hub of this city, of which my husband made a whole map of all the buildings and gave it to them. So if you're listening, I hope you're enjoying your map. Because he's also a big fan of architecture and, you know, preserving these sites. And I think people can sometimes overlook like Abu Dhabi's architecture because it's of that like 70s, 80s era. But the bus station.
But I love that.
I love it too.
I love it in London. I love it in different parts of Europe. And I really love it here. You do see it in parts of like older Dubai, in like Deir and Bur Dubai, and you see a lot in Abu Dhabi. Like, and I think that's something that probably surprises people a little bit when they come here, right? Yeah. They are expecting to see either super modern sky rises or quite arabesque architecture, and then it's like, oh no, there's like a whole little brutalist layer in the middle.
I love it. So tell us more about Abu Dhabi.
So the Abu Dhabi bus terminal is, as you said, brutalist architecture. So this building was built in 1989, and it is very distinct for its very bold teal or green colour. Yeah, kind of turquoisey aqua.
Turquoise.
And it's a pretty sprawling space, but it's also buzzing, right? So it's there's a functioning bus terminal, but it's also shops and functional spaces within the terminal. But there is one mezzanine floor that is no longer used. It used to be a wedding space. It used to be a wedding hall.
I love this.
Which is so cool. But it's now kind of been a bit neglected, and it's being refurbished and kind of revitalized as part of a public art project, part of the Biennial, and it's going to be restored to have a communal space with a gallery, a cafe, and a film screening area within the terminal.
Should go. Oh, 100%. When this opens, we should definitely go.
I think it's going to open in January is the working plan.
My birthday.
If you can please open this in time for Enas' birthday, we will celebrate her birthday there.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of that building, so I'm really excited about it being brought into like a new era of its life.
Yeah, for sure. But there is so much happening as part of this event that is kind of impossible for us to chat about in one segment. In particular, in some of the public parks here in Abu Dhabi, there are kind of walks and walking routes, and you can kind of, we'll put a link in the show notes that you can kind of track these walking routes and kind of take in pieces from various artists along roughly an hour-long route, which is such a nice way to take in different pieces of art. And I think when we travel and we go to different cities, we kind of stop and take in like impressive sculptures and things like that. But when it's here and it's on your doorstep, you kind of get a little bit blind to it, right? And then it's just nice to stop and kind of be like, oh no, let's take stock of some of these pieces.
That's so cool. And then there's also, I saw there's 5 artists that are featured along a driving route. towards the carpet souk. Do you know about the carpet souk in Abu Dhabi?
I've never been.
Abu Dhabi has just like all these little hidden gems. When I first moved here, I didn't know anything about them. So there's a date souk, so you can go and buy your dates. There's a fruit and veg souk, to go and buy your fruit and veg. There's a fish souk, there's meat, and there's also a carpet souk.
Right. I need to go to the carpet souk.
You need to go to the carpet souk. It's
Only about an hour ago, I told you I need to buy a carpet.
Why didn't I think of this?
And you said, yes, carry on shopping on Temu. You enabled me.
I do think though, it's got like lots of different, I'm sure there'll be lots of beautiful Afghan and Persian rugs there.
I'm sure I'll get something of significantly better quality than the one I was considering buying, which I have not yet clicked go on. It's nice then the kind of that acknowledgement, like that it's not for everyone to go for a 1 hour long walk around the park. So it's also like these pieces have been put on display that people can see by car.
I know for me and the children, sometimes when you try to do an hour walk with the kids, it can be quite annoying. So just driving past something's quite good. I've never stopped at like Buckingham Palace in the UK. So driving past like sites, I'm always like, look out the window. You can do the same here.
Driving past Buckingham Palace would be quite stressful. It's a big roundabout.
It's not that bad.
I don't know if I've ever driven past Buckingham Palace. This is probably not a story for now, but I refused to stop at Stonehenge with Eddie when we were in England last year. And I was like, you'll just see it from the car. You'll see it from the car window. Turns out it is a story for now because I'm going ahead with it. You'll see it from the car window. And then I was on a work call and I got distracted. And Eddie was just following the map. And he was like, where's Stonehenge? It seems pretty far away. And he'd been diverted away from Stonehenge. And I was like,
so he didn't see Stonehenge from the car window?
No, not even from the car window. My bad.
That's not good. That's not good. You need to earn some browning points.
My bad. Next summer, I will say, yeah, sure, get on a train, go to Stonehenge. I won't
Will
come.
you?
I won't go. It's fine.
It's quite boring.
He'll like it. Big rocks.
That's great. Big rocks in a formation.
Yeah.
Welcome back. We are here today to celebrate a big birthday.
Yes.
We're celebrating Fairouz. She turned 90 last week.
Yes, she turned 90 last week, which is a milestone.
It's a huge milestone. Now, are you a fan, Farah?
I mean, how honest am I? Yes. So obviously a fan of her work, and since living and being in this region, seeing so much and hearing and writing about her a lot. I don't have the same like very tangible emotional connection.
You don't cry? I cry every time I hear her sing.
Someone else said that to me this week. They said that every time she comes on in the car, they start crying. And I was like, I'm jealous.
Every time I hear her sing, I feel like I can smell jasmine and coffee.
That is so powerful. So for the uninitiated, tell us about Fairouz. Tell us about why she is so powerful and why her lyrics are such a...
Wow, where do we
crunch.
start? She is an iconic Lebanese singer. So if you have lived in the region, even for like a short amount of time, but especially if you've lived in the Levant, you would have heard her music everywhere. She has been singing now, safe to say, for decades.
Surely 70 odd years? Surely.
Probably. And there's a few things about her, like, obviously, she has many a nickname as well. Oh. So I did some research. So she's called Bird of the East, of course. Cedar of Lebanon. I love that. You know, she doesn't bend. She is the cedar of Lebanon. And how, like, what an accolade to hold.
I was going to say, to be so connected to like the national emblem. So she is
Lebanon. The voice of Lebanon as well. So she's often named as the voice of Lebanon. So she is, I would say, in terms of like a living icon, I was really struggling to think of someone who is maybe on the like Western side that I could say like, oh yeah, she's like so-and-so. No, she's not Madonna. Okay. No. She hasn't had to change at all. Like literally nothing. Because
so she's the opposite. She hasn't reinvented herself with every single album. She has just been steadfast in her
cedar. The cedar of Lebanon. So she's so beloved and so famous. And I think with everything that's going on, and we have seen wars in our region before, unfortunately. And there's something that my dad would always say, is like, Fairouz will never sing for a leader, she'll only sing for the country.
Ah.
So she's written many songs, or sung many songs, I should say, about countries.
Probably not about companies.
Never about companies. But yeah, she's got one of her songs, which is Behabbak Ya Lebanon, which is I Love You Lebanon, which came out in the 70s. And that was her response to the civil war. And even when we saw the explosion that devastated central Beirut in 2020, a lot of people were looking at her, were using her song Le Beirut, like, you know, which is for Beirut, her song for Beirut. She had a song, and people were using that as part of their kind of like mourning for what happened to central Beirut.
Am I right in saying she's quite a unifying character, like this kind of when there have been civil wars in Lebanon, and so that she is just someone that kind of unites a fandom. So and she kind of has never kind of publicly voiced support for one side or the other, and she kind of just has people everywhere uniting kind of in their love for her.
Of course, yeah. She kind of like is above it all. I would say that I was trying to think that it's really difficult. Can you think of like, who is an English or American artist? I mean, Taylor Swift. But we haven't seen Taylor go through decades.
And we've seen Taylor reinvent herself so much. I was also thinking that before this and kind of like in prep, but I also really don't like that oversimplification of things that are either like, oh, he's the Arab Michael Jackson, he's the like, and it's just like people do that all the time. It's like a bit of a sloppy label, and I don't love it.
Yeah, let's not do it.
So let's not. She's Fairouz.
She's Fairouz, and well, French President Emmanuel Macron, who wanted
gave her a little happy birthday.
Gave her a little happy birthday on his Insta, which I thought was so. Again, like we're talking about what is happening at the moment in Lebanon, and we're recording this on a Tuesday, and we've heard there could be a ceasefire deal. So I don't know if by the time we get to Thursday, when this show goes out, that we'll know that there was or there isn't. So it's a very turbulent time at the moment in the region. So to have someone like the French president congratulate the most iconic star of Lebanon in this time is really something. She's
also pretty famous for kind of singing and speaking about the Palestinian cause, right?
Yes.
So she kind of extends her humanitarian and like the kind of her vocal outreach to Palestine. And so kind of at the moment, it does really feel like such a, I mean, she turned 90, which is a big birthday, a very, very big birthday.
Big birthday.
During such a tumultuous time in Palestine and in Lebanon.
In Macron's post on Instagram, I'm calling him Macron like I know the guy.
I mean, you aren't calling him Emmanuel. That'll be more familiar.
He said, Fairouz embodies the soul of this region with dignity. She watches over the hearts of many Palestinians and Lebanese who are deprived of the peace they deserve.
That's incredibly powerful.
Very powerful. And to come at this moment in time from the French President Emmanuel Macron. And I think what's amazing is he is not the only fan, but he probably is one of the only fans that's got to go and visit her at her house.
He's been pretty outwardly a fan of...
Big fan. So back in 2020, after the horrific blast, Macron kicked off his tour to Lebanon by meeting Fairouz and awarding her France's Legion of Honor.
I mean, like, what a public move, right? And,
huge move.
Yeah.
And she deserves it. And France, again, like if you don't know and maybe you don't know the region very well, France was a colonial power of Lebanon. So they have very strong ties. A lot of Lebanese people speak both French and English. So for the French president to recognize her in this way was incredible. I've done some more research to find out any other members that maybe famous people who have mentioned their love of Fairouz. So I'm going to give you some.
Please.
One is kind of like recognizable, Shakira.
Yep.
Named Fairouz as her favorite singer.
I think a lot of people don't know that Shakira's half Lebanese.
She's also half Lebanese, so it's not that shocking.
So we all know she's Colombian, and we think of her as a Colombian singer.
Colombia.
But yeah, Colombian Lebanese, which we should be shouting about more.
I mean, she does belly dance.
She does.
Yeah.
Leave it there.
I was going to do a Shakira impression, but I don't feel like the microphones can sustain it. And the other person is Beyonce.
Big fan?
Big fan of Fairouz. And when she performed in Dubai recently at the opening of Atlantis, she used Fairouz in her act.
Love that.
Yeah, see? So let's go through. Do you want to hear my top songs?
Yes, I would like your top 3, please.
Okay, right. Starting from 3. Alain El Hawa.
What does that mean, please, Enas?
I feel like I'm pronouncing this wrong because I wrote it in English and I should have written it in Arabic.
You should have.
It's like to bring to us the breeze.
Okay.
I had to ask the producers what that meant.
You're being very honest.
I'm being very honest. That's number 3. Next is Shaif al-Bahar Shukbir. Right? Which is, can you see how big the sea is?
Oh.
This is one of my favorite songs.
And then your first one, then I've got questions for them as like an overarching. I'm not going to keep interrupting.
Ooh. Yeah, okay. And then my favorite Fairouz song, I'm going to look at the producers now to make sure, is Kifak Enta. It doesn't that song? It just, so
I have questions. I'm going to interview you. What are the meanings of each of the songs, please?
Okay, so Kifak Enta is like, how are you? But to a man. Okay, because obviously a lot of Arabic is gendered. So Kifak Enta, I heard probably like thousands of times. And then you get to an actual age and you listen to Kifak Enta and suddenly it means something. Like,
is it a love song?
It's a love song about somebody that was in her life and is no longer in her life. And she bumps into him and she's like, oh, how are you? But the words for the song just hit differently after you've kind of like, maybe you've grown a bit older.
Maybe you've had your first heartbreak.
Maybe you've had your first heart broken. Maybe you yearned for someone who wasn't meant to be.
Right.
And when I got older and I listened to the song, I was just walking down the street in Southeast London. And then suddenly I had to stop. I was like, oh my God, actually, this is a really powerful, sad song. So it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And it's also like she references the fact that she thinks that he might have left the country. And I feel like that's something that, again, really resonated with me as somebody who has moved country many a time. And like, I feel like that is so part of the story of so many Middle Easterners because of like war and situations that have happened that's a question then that you think about. It's like, I thought that she says, Barat al-Blad, which means like out of this country. And again, going back to Fairouz and who she is as a person, she does not like to leave Lebanon.
No.
And she will not leave Lebanon. So she was praised, in fact, for staying in Lebanon throughout the country's, from 1975 to 1990 civil war. She refused to leave the country and side with any sectarian faction violence. So this is like, again, I feel like she does hold like that kind of voice for a generation as well of people who are just like, no, let's put aside all these differences and let's just move forward, which is really powerful.
So powerful.
Yeah. And then Shaif al-Bahar Shukbir.
Oh, yes. Sorry, you have 2 other meanings. Please.
I think we'll just go through this. We don't need to go through the third one. I can't even pronounce the name, babe. So Shaif al-Bahar Shukbir is... Again, it's like, can you see how big the sea is? And then she's like, in the size of the sea, I love you. And then she also says like, and can you see how far the sky is? The distance the sky is, I love you. So it's very poetic.
It is.
Very beautiful. And also, like, when I was learning Arabic as a young'un, it's quite an easy sentence to learn for a song. So it's good.
Maybe that's where I'll start then.
Maybe that's where you start. You start by learning Fairouz.
Done.
Well, welcome back.
So we're carrying on a bit of a theme this week. And we've had a conversation about this a few months ago, but there have been a good crop of new songs released in solidarity with Palestine. And one in particular that we want to talk about this week.
Yes, she is a Jordanian-Palestinian artist called Zayn. And she's released a music video, which is Harrar Aqlak, which means liberate your mind, or free your mind, and Asli Ana, which means like I'm originally me.
Okay.
Okay. These were released over the weekend and they've already received tons of attention.
You say they. Is this one song or is it 2 songs or is it a bit of an art piece? What are we talking?
So it's kind of, it's very artistic, first of all. Okay. So it's a dual kind of record that's been released. So the first half of this record is like spoken word, okay, with the beautiful cinematography, where she's describing what it is like to be of Arab descent. And the second half is the song version of kind of like a similar message, but it's kind of almost like a follow-on from the first part, which is spoken word.
Okay.
So it's quite a long cinematography, so a long video, really beautiful. So definitely watch it. And there's loads of references in the video to her Palestinian identity and culture.
Okay, so I've seen parts of the video, but obviously have not understood all the lyrics and the lyricism, but the kind of symbolism within the video, the kind of like powerful embroidery, olives, tabka, the key. So all these like very visually, like visual links, particularly to Palestine, like really
it's
powerful.
Stunning. Yeah, she does kind of like a dabke dance with a group of dancers. And then as they're doing the dabke dance, you can see that she's wearing a belt of keys.
Okay.
Right? So it's kind of like those symbolisms are just like dotted throughout. At one stage, it's a really close-up shot of her face and very modern, like beautiful makeup. I mean, she looks absolutely stunning. But you can see in her earrings, they're silver, but as if they were embroidered, like embossed with
so
the embroidery of Palestine. So really stunning. Like I was going to actually mention the modernization of Palestinian culture through those things that she's done in this way, or the creative director has. But really stunning. There's one very moving scene where you see like almost like a circle of women and she's in the forefront and they're braiding each other's hair and there's lots of oranges, which I believe would probably, symbolize Jaffa, the Jaffa oranges, as we say in English. So there's this stunning like scenery in this video, but the whole thing is in Arabic. And within her spoken word, she talks about, her need to understand Arabic and why Arabic is important to her and why it should be important to everybody and what it means for our culture and our civilization and to be Arab and to speak Arabic. So it's a really beautiful piece of work.
And it's gone viral. It's newly released and it's kind of like shot up on across social media platforms, so like Instagram and TikTok, where, I mean, we see it time and time again, right? Where small extracts of these videos and the audio are like shared and shared and shared and shared. And it's such a powerful way for artists at the moment to kind of increase their profiles when they kind of have these very impactful works that they're releasing.
Yeah, and we've done articles on it at the National. So if you're interested in other artists that have spoken about the Palestinian cause, you can find that all on our website. But especially for this, as like a very stylized. What I feel is a bit different this time round is we've had like Saint Levant, okay, speaking in English a lot of the time, like even though he does do some songs in Arabic, but her music and her monologue is purely in Arabic. So it feels like she's reclaiming. There's a reclaiming here.
And that's who she's talking to, right? She's talking to people here in this region and she isn't kind of trying to explain to the outside, which has a massive impact.
Huge impact. So yeah, I'm really hopeful that we get to see her at some point perform here.
That would be amazing.
But that's not on the cards at the moment because I did do some research. But yeah, it's great to see that like people are celebrating and showing and showcasing their culture in these difficult times. So if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. I'll repeat the name. It's Zayn, spelled Zeyne. And the music video, which will probably come up as the first search.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. But if you want to try writing it in Arabic, Harrad Aqlak and Asli Ana, do it.
Asli Ana, people probably can.
Look at you go. You're learning so much Arabic today.
Mainly from you, as a week by week, day by day.
My husband's on Duolingo and he's doing really well.
I have honestly tried Duolingoing in Arabic, and my main problem is that obviously I do want to be able to read and write Arabic, but I mostly want to be able to communicate in Arabic, and Duolingo doesn't get you there.
I've heard Babbel is good.
Babbel.
I
would have said Babel.
I've heard Babbel is good, and I've heard that there's one that you can play as almost like a podcast in your car.
I spend a lot of time in my car.
So maybe we do that.
Yeah.
And then you could just go, imagine one day we could just do this whole podcast in Arabic.
It would be different for the listeners.
Let's move on to recommendations of the week.
What is your... You can go first. We've been too British.
So mine is Arab Cinema Week.
Yes, Cinema Akil.
Cinema Akil. So I haven't yet been, so I'm recommending it as somewhere that I will be going to.
I'm recommending it to your future self.
You come along for the ride too. And there's a couple of films that have really stood out for me, but I'm going to talk about one, which is Baghdad Messi, which is a documentary about a young 11-year-old Iraqi boy who is pursuing his dreams of playing football despite losing his leg in a suicide attack. I just find that sometimes these stories, like, not only are they like give you the sense of endurance and like, you know, what is possible, and the human spirit is so unbreakable, and isn't it stunning? But it just gives me hope for the future, because this young lad, like, just, if you're listening, Hamoudi, know that we are excited to see the film about life.
And so it's running until December the 1st, right?
Running until December the 1st. And it's a mixture as well. It's not just new films. There's old films as well. There's films that I've seen that are like from, you know, a couple of years ago up until like this year releases. So check it out. That is Arab Cinema Week at Cinema Akil.
My recommendation this week probably doesn't actually need to be recommended. I accept that it's going to do well without me. But Wicked. Much hype, much hype, much conversation, much talk, but my goodness, it lives up to the hype.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
How did you see it?
Because it's in cinemas now.
Is it already in cinemas?
Yeah. It came out on Thursday. It is... it lives up to every expectation. I've seen Wicked on stage once in London.
Was it wicked?
It was wicked. When I turned 18, it was my 18th birthday present from my auntie and uncle. And I wasn't that jazzed about it coming out when I heard about it. Saw the trailer, I was like, I'm interested. Have devoured the Ariana Grande, Cynthia Evero press tour, where my goodness, those women seem to love each other.
Yeah, they
Good
do.
for them.
I love
what a lovely
sisterhood.
Working relationship. And they just keep crying in interviews, which I absolutely love, because my goodness, have they enjoyed making this film. And I also do like Jonathan Bailey of Bridgerton fame. And it is just stunning. It is. It lives up to all the hype. Theatre kids will be absolutely thrilled that it's not an abomination. And the fact that they sang live, so it's not acting, recording studio.
Oh, nice.
They sing live, so what you're seeing is what you get. And they also sang when they were doing their stunts.
Wow.
So it's a feat. And it really is a bit of a gift to anybody who does love musical theatre, like myself, unlike Enas.
I don't like musical theatre.
Does not.
Although
like
I have gone to see Wicked. I don't actually want to talk about it. It was trauma.
Oh.
We'll talk about it another time.
Later.
But, can I take my girls?
100%.
Yeah. Also, it's suitable for bubbas.
Maybe
not Ada?
Yeah.
Is she too little?
It is about a wicked witch. But it's the origin story of a wicked witch.
Yeah. Well, much like
the
my
song's
youngest.
So good. You will come away from it singing to yourself. I've been singing Popular for like the last 4 days.
I do know that song.
Yeah, you do.
Look at me. Oh, so it's in all UAE cinemas probably, right?
I would guess all, but let's just say UAE cinemas to be safe. It's out now.
It's out now. So it is out now. So if you want to do something over the weekend, get down to Wicked.
Pop down to see Wicked.
Nice. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening or watching.
And if you like this episode, please follow and subscribe on your favourite podcasting app.
Bye.
Bye.